Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Patrick Sullivan. I'm the CEO of the Nova Scotia Tourism Agency. I'll be your MC for this morning. I'd like to welcome you all here to this fabulous urban barn, a discovery, I'm sure, for many of you, and I think something that represents so beautifully what Nova Scotia is, with that spectacular view out the window. So please take advantage of it and remember the location. I will introduce, just want to mention a couple of people around the room. We have Pam Mood, who is the Mayor of Yarmouth, who's joined us today. Janice Ruddock with Taste of Nova Scotia. I think over on the other side, we have Darlene Grant-Fyander and Nick Carson from Tyans. Nick Jennery from the Wine Association of Nova Scotia, who released an amazing study I think just last week. Kathy McDonald from ACOA. And then, of course, we have a number of folks from the regional tourism agencies or regional tourism associations across the province with us today as well. So welcome to everybody, and, of course, welcome to everyone else and the media. Thrilled to have you all here today for the launch of the 2013-2014 Nova Scotia Tourism Agency campaign. Thrilled to have you all here. At this time, I think I'll introduce the Minister, the Honourable Percy Paris, Minister of Economic, Rural Development and Tourism, who would like to say a few words to all of you.
Thank you, Patrick. I must say, and I've said this before, and for those of you that don't know me, and Pat, since you're still relatively new to the fold, I love long introductions. So just remember that for the next time around. I've got to say, it's so nice to see such a good turnout here this morning, and so many familiar faces. And I'm going to, and I want to say again to Patrick, thank you for taking care of protocol, because generally speaking, when elected officials have to take care of protocol and recognize people in the room, especially those that are elected, sometimes we, or generally speaking, we screw up. So any screw-ups now, I'm just going to blame it on Patrick, because he's acknowledged everyone that's here. I do want to acknowledge, though, I think we do have, I think only one elected official here besides myself, and that's the Mayor of Yarmouth. And Mayor Mood, I'd like to acknowledge you and say welcome, and I'll say publicly what I said to you privately, that anytime you're in town, I'm a phone call away. Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning. And I also want to take note that Pat had some crib notes there, and his were short, like on those, what do they call them, those cue cards, those when you have little recipes. Well, my recipe's a little bit bigger, so I'm going to try to stick to the script. If I go off track, if you're on a timeline, you'll be here for a lot longer. So I'm going to try to stick to the script and make our announcements so that you can get on with the rest of your day. Again, I want to say thank you for being here this morning. Over the past several months, as some of you already know, we've talked a lot about how we're changing direction and becoming more strategic in our approach to tourism in the province of Nova Scotia. Well, today you're going to see some of the results of those efforts. Those of us who are fortunate enough to call Nova Scotia home already know what a great place we have here in this province. From Cape Breton to Yarmouth, from Annapolis Valley to the South Shore, Nova Scotians know that our province has so much to offer. This year's campaign is designed to let others know that what we already know, that Nova Scotia is a great place to visit, and more importantly, it's a world-class destination. I mentioned that we're becoming more strategic. I mentioned that we're becoming more strategic in our approach to tourism. Part of this was creating the new Nova Scotia Tourism Agency and its industry board. They are working with the tourism industry and other key stakeholders to clarify roles and responsibilities. So, we are all working effectively, working together to make Nova Scotia the place to be, not only for 2013, but for the years and years to come. Something that I've always said, and those of you that have known me as minister for the last 4 years from the first day, I've always maintained tourism is everyone's business. Every citizen in the province of Nova Scotia has an invested responsibility and interest in tourism. Everyone. Tourism is the contribution to our economy that impacts on everyone in this room and everyone outside. And you know, when I say that, I think that you will all agree that if we truly believe that, then we are, all of us, are Nova Scotia ambassadors. Just this weekend, we had a spirited and passionate contingent promoting Nova Scotia in the capital city of Ottawa. Donna Hatt from White Point Beach Resort, and I see Donna's here this morning, was one of the leaders of the popular Scotiable Nova Scotia night at the Lunenburg Arms Club, and one of the many Nova Scotian operators working hard on our behalf at the Ottawa Travel Show. We're going to hear a little bit from Donna later. I've got to say this, and for anyone that's ever experienced a Nova Scotia night, whether it be at the Olympics, whether it be in Ottawa, whether it be anywheres, wow. You know, I still recall at the Vancouver Olympics and how people were lined up for hours to get inside to a Nova Scotia party, because we know we can write the book on hospitality. We can write the book on good times. So we are ambassadors no matter where we go. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a sneak peek at the new campaign, which will be airing on Monday, March the 18th. And I understand we have some great ambassadors with us this morning. These are some of the folks, everyday Nova Scotians, who will have a starring role in promoting the province of Nova Scotia. And I think, if conversation means anything, that they're pretty excited. It's the first time that they're seeing the campaign too. Please join me in welcoming Rain Langell. Rain, if you could stand up. Joshua William Power. And Kim Lamb. While they have a starring role in the campaign, everyone in Nova Scotia has a supporting role. Don't forget that. It may be one of you who are industry operators who creates an awesome quality experience, or just someone who goes that extra mile to entertain family or friends from away. Or it simply may be someone like me who smiles and gives directions and offers to take a photo from that visitor to our province. We can all contribute and make the experience for visitors that come to Nova Scotia an unforgettable one. And you know, it only makes sense. When we do that, we increase the chances that they will return, that they will come again and again and again. And not only that, they're telling their friends, they're telling their relatives, and equally important, they're getting into that social network. One push of a button now, and they can reach millions and millions and millions of people. Also, a reminder that bad experience can also go viral as well. One push of the button now. And we can either tell people all about the good things that we have to offer, and we have so much, what a diverse province that we do live in. Our new campaign, Take Yourself There, is designed to attract new visitors and encourage them to travel more often to the province of Nova Scotia and visit all that they can while they are here. Nova Scotia, as you know, is a road tripper's paradise. Diverse, compact, full of amazing things to see and to do. Natural wonders like the Bay of Fundy, the Cabot Trail, hundreds of festivals and events, cultural attractions, historical sites and museums, and more of the best sea coasts in the world. These are only a few of the things, just a few of the things that you're going to experience and they can experience while here in Nova Scotia. What we want to do, every one of us, and we need your help, we want to build on that reputation. And you know that this campaign is going to help us do just that. We know, the province of Nova Scotia, this government, we know how important tourism is to the economy of Nova Scotia. And we know how important it is to the people and to the businesses and to the communities right across this province. We know that government, by working with the industry, Nova Scotia will soon have a tourism strategy that will focus on learning the right skills to compete on the international stage, build a compelling tourism brand, and better promote our beloved icons. The 2013 marketing campaign is a great way for us all to start. Now, I kind of have a tendency to go off script, and I advised you and I warned you that I wouldn't do that. And I'm struggling now herein, but I think if anyone in this room has ever heard me talk, I've been a minister now to be 4 years, June. I'm not that I'm counting, but I've got to say there's been nothing in my portfolio that has gripped me with the passion and with the enthusiasm like tourism has. And I've got to say that Nova Scotia, you are so lucky, you are so fortunate, because in those 4 years, almost 4 years, is the staff. The staff at the Department of Tourism, the Division of Tourism, are unbelievable. Public servants oftentimes take a bad rap, not justified. We have a staff at tourism that is second to none. And this staff is complemented by an organization called Tie-Ins, which is equally devoted to tourism in this province. When you combine those two identities together, man, have you ever got a winning combination. And folks, that's what we have in Nova Scotia. That's what we've had for the last number of years, and that's what we're going to continue to have for the future. I certainly want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank each and every one of you. And I know we have operators in the room. I thank everyone, because I said that everybody has an investment when it comes to tourism in the province of Nova Scotia. And I've already mentioned, from that simple act of giving directions or taking a picture for somebody, it means so much. So I thank you all for putting your best foot forwards as we head into a new tourism season. Let's just do one thing. Let's renew that commitment. Let's renew that commitment right here this morning. Let's make sure that we together create the best visitor experience possible for every visitor that comes to the province of Nova Scotia. Let's ramp up our efforts. Let's ramp up our efforts in spreading the news about this great piece of the world that not enough people know about. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Minister. Great to have such an enthusiastic booster for tourism for the province. There's no better spokesperson to talk about how exciting the opportunity is for Nova Scotia around the world. So thrilled to have you here. You were right, though. I did miss people. So I just want to mention as well Gordon Stewart, who is here from the Restaurant Association. No, you're there. So thank you. And of course, I will go through the presentation and talk a little bit about our partners, of course, who've helped get us this far, including Extreme Group, who are our advertising agency, and ISL, who help us on the website every single day. So thrilled to have them here as well. Okay, so let's get into a little bit about our campaign. I'm just going to have to keep looking back to make sure my slides are flipping through here, but talk a little bit about what the brand is. I'll get into some of the technical details, I suppose, of the campaign. Sorry, I'm glad you kids sat down. I saw you standing there, so I'm glad you sat down. Brand positioning, campaign creative, show you the actual campaign, and then talk a little bit about where we're going to do our advertising. To kind of set this up a little bit, and I've presented this before, and many of you have heard this before. The industry in Nova Scotia is in kind of slow decline. We're down about 1% a year, and have been down about 1% a year over the last 10 years. Having said that, we're actually doing better than a lot of other markets. So in Canada's actually down about 18% during that same period. So we're doing better than Canada, but clearly we could be doing better, and would love to do better in the marketplace. And one of the areas that we're starting to feel the pain a little bit, and starting to feel that we need to focus, is on first-time visitors. As the minister said, we know that when people come to Nova Scotia, visit Nova Scotia, we know they're going to come back and visit again and again and again. So it's very important to get them here the first time. And what we've seen over the last number of years is a slow decline in the number of first-time visitors coming to Nova Scotia. So our campaign will focus on those first-time visitors. We've done a whole lot of research. The NSTA, or the Nova Scotia Tourism Agency, was only founded in September of this year. But the year before, the interim board of the NSTA and the department, the tourism department, and tie-ins worked very closely to do a lot of research to determine who the right target is for our marketing campaign, who we should be going after. And what we determined was that group is outdoor enthusiasts, people who would appreciate, I'm sure, this kind of environment, would enjoy a hike or would enjoy a cycle. It doesn't mean that they are not going to then want a nice bed to lay down in, or a pillow to lay their head on, or to have a great meal or a great glass of wine during the evening. They want those softer comforts as well. We're not talking hardcore adventurers, but we're talking people who are a little more enthusiastic about getting outdoors and enjoying all that the province has to offer. Of course, we also know that cultural enthusiasts, the folks that are going to take advantage of the 4 founding cultures that we have in this fabulous province, or culinary enthusiasts, the people that are going to take advantage of that food or drink, or come particularly for that, are a great market as well, but they're a slightly smaller market, and of course they do overlap with that outdoor enthusiast. So our marketing goal for the coming year is to increase visitation from first-time pleasure visitors most likely to visit more of Nova Scotia. And I can't emphasize that enough. We need to get them here, which is very important, obviously, but we also need to distribute those people. We need to bring them. If they're coming by air, they're likely going to land in Halifax. We need to have them land in Halifax. We need to have them visit Halifax. We need them to go to the South Shore. We need them to go down to Shelburne. We need them to then go to Yarmouth. We need them to go to the Acadian Shore, work their way around to the valley, work their way up to Truro, up to Amherst, up to Cape Breton, to Ingonish, to Inverness, to every corner of the province, and make their way back down. So we want them to visit Nova Scotia, and then we want them to travel around the province in, frankly, the most circuitous route possible. How do they get from here to here is not really as important as how they get from here to there, to there, to there, to there, to there. And to do that, we need to work really, really closely with our regional tourism associations, with the other regions, and it's great to see the Mayor of Yarmouth here as well. So working with Yarmouth, working with the YASTA group, the Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association, all of these kinds of groups are going to help us to move people around the province. Our creative challenge, we looked at the advertising that was out there. We looked at our competitive set, and we said, what do we need to do to kind of differentiate ourselves? What do we need to do to resonate with this audience? And we said, well, we need to create, use emotion to create desire. How do we create that desire so that people are going to be enthusiastic about coming to Nova Scotia? We need to convey that sense of vibrancy, that Nova Scotia is an exciting place, and position Nova Scotia in a new light. And that probably means not focusing on one event or one activity or one cultural institution or one restaurant for that matter. We need to spread that around. We need to think broader. We need to think bigger. We need to think about Nova Scotia as a total and get people here and then work to move them around the province, as I mentioned. So to do that, we determined that we needed to focus on 3 areas: discovery, freedom, and engagement. So discovery. It's not just about Peggy's Cove, as I've heard Martin say many, many times. It's not just about Peggy's Cove. It's about all the things in between. So it's about, when I took a drive to White Point a couple of weeks ago and did the Aspetegan Peninsula along the way and found what a fabulous area that was. Or I went to Lunenburg and I found Blue Rocks, which is a mini Peggy's Cove, a fabulous, beautiful area of the province. Or when I was in Badek, just walking through the streets of Badek last week. There's so many areas that you frankly discover when you arrive. Or if you take that little detour, you're going to find that fabulous area along the way. When I went to Yarmouth a few weeks ago to visit Julie, driving back along the Acadian shore, all of these areas, fabulous, fabulous areas that are just ripe for discovery. Freedom. Put yourself in neutral. It's not about coming to Nova Scotia with that heavy agenda. We want you to come to Nova Scotia. We want you to discover. We want you to put yourself in neutral and find what you're going to do and discover the things along the way. I've been away from Nova Scotia for a number of years, and to come back and discover the number of wineries in the valley was amazing for me and made for a number of great weekends for my wife and I to go down and visit in the fall and in the winter. Engagement. It's about having a conversation with people. As the minister said, with one piece of social networking, we can now communicate. People are communicating with their portfolio of friends, if I can call them that, and another group of friends and another group of friends, and that message is becoming viral in absolutely no time. So we need to ensure that we're engaging with people, having those conversations. We're doing things like in Yarmouth, the living wharves, so that you can go down to Yarmouth, you can go down to the living wharf, you can meet a fisherman, you can have a conversation about what he does on a daily basis. And people who are visiting Nova Scotia are going to learn, they're going to talk about it, they're going to tweet about it, they're going to post it on Facebook, they're going to participate in the conversation. So our brand positioning, as the minister mentioned again, is the spirit of the perfect road trip. That means that we want people to have that freedom, discovery, engagement as they travel around the province. It's a road trip that involves all of those things. It's a road trip that enables them to discover as they're traveling around the province. It's a road trip that will enable us to provide them with maps and routes and itineraries and say, this is what you need to do over 2 days, and this is what you need to do over 3 days or 4 days or 5 days or 6 days. We need to get that information to these people and communicate with them. The campaign idea, Rain, you may recognize the picture there. The campaign idea, celebrate the place and state of mind that allows you to travel on a whim, enjoying the journey as much as the destination. Okay, so let me play the first spot.
Joy isn't complicated. It's simple and natural, like unexpected laughter. It arrives when you stop chasing it. Joy is what happens when you realize your best laid plans are best left behind. Nova Scotia, take yourself there.
And overnight, Kim is famous. Okay, that's the first spot. Second spot. I think this is French.
La joie, ce n'est pas compliqué. C'est tout simple, naturel. Comme un rire qui éclate. Elle est là quand on arrête de la chercher. On éprouve de la joie quand rien n'est planifié et qu'on se laisse aller à être et à vivre. La Nouvelle-Écosse, laissez-vous transporter.
So in French, and I'll talk a little bit more about where we're actually doing the advertising. As you might imagine, we're advertising in the province of Quebec with the French ads. Next spot.
Freedom, floating in a moment, weightless and carefree. It's still there inside you. Forget how you arrived, or where you'll end up next. Often the times you let go are the times that stay with you forever. Nova Scotia, take yourself there.
There we go. Congratulations, Rain. Great acting. Okay, and then the third spot.
We're all born with it. That youthful curiosity and certain sense of adventure. It doesn't matter where it takes you, only that you go. Sometimes we just forget it's there. And sometimes your best adventures begin with someone who can see you're up for one. Nova Scotia, take yourself there.
There we go. And a tribute to the special effects whizzes who had Rain and Joshua aged 25 years during the course of the commercial. No, spectacular. I think spectacular acting. Congratulations to all of the talent, I guess, that participated in the spots. Oh, and again. Oh, sorry. This is our 60-second spot. I apologize. I'm a little out of order.
Remember what it's like to truly let yourself go. To escape with no thought of what you left behind. To live in the moment, for the moment, and travel on a whim from one surprise to another. Freedom is a place, and it's here. In every rock, every smile, every turn, let go and take yourself there. Nova Scotia.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. That is the set, I suppose, of three 30-second spots and one 60-second spot that will be airing in a number of locations. I'll talk about where again specifically. And again, I just want to mention again Extreme, all of the folks at Extreme. There's too many of them here today to mention, so I won't mention names. But the folks from Extreme who partnered to put this together, amazing work, I think, with a new agency for us and a new agency for the NSTA. Just some other examples of the creative that we will be using. So print campaign. You can see two images. One image of a young couple crossing Fishing Cove in Cape Breton, and then a lovely image of a family at Louisbourg. This is Louisbourg 300, the 300th anniversary of the founding of Louisbourg. So keep that in mind this year. Just to read the copy that we have here. It says your best laid plans are best left behind. Take yourself out of the ordinary, escape the everyday with no thought of what you left behind. Discover a place where you get the most out of a day by just letting yourself go. Nova Scotia, take yourself there. So a good reprise for the television. The travel guide, examples of the new travel guide. I think there are samples of those for some of you to take away. The Doers and Dreamers Guide in English with a lovely shot of Luckett's Vineyard looking down over and out at Cape Lomadon. The image we just saw a moment ago of Louisbourg with the family in French as well, and the Louisbourg 300 logo at the top of the Doers and Dreamers Guide. For the first time this year, I will mention the Doers and Dreamers Guide will also be available in a digital format. So this is a rather large book that we do distribute to people, almost over 300,000 copies a year, to people who are interested in visiting Nova Scotia and are visiting throughout Nova Scotia. And now this will be available in a digital basis, so they'll be able to actually flip through it from their laptop or from their tablet or smartphone and take a look at it. So that's a great initiative. Online, so we will have a number of online ads that will run during the course of our campaign. Billboard advertising, static billboard in Toronto and in Montreal as well, although a different image. Digital billboards through the PATH system in Toronto. Those of you that know the PATH system, which has over 500,000 people walk through it every morning, or every day, I guess, you'll see the static or the digital billboards there. We have our new refreshed website. So our website is refreshed, courtesy of our friends at ISL, and that will be available into next week with the new refreshed look and feel. We also have our new mobile application, which, of course, it's timed out. So is available on the new BlackBerry Z10 and available as well on the on iPhone and Android devices. So the mobile app will be available. It will enable you to look for events. So when I'm standing in Liverpool, I'll be able to look at the events that are happening in Liverpool that particular day. So we think that'll be a real advantage for people. As we know, people are increasingly traveling with their smartphones or mobile devices. The markets that we'll be advertising in, Canada, the United States, and Europe. The television will be confined to Canada. The United States will have primarily print, and in Europe, we'll talk about what we're doing in Europe as well. You can see that we're changing our timing a little bit. So this is March. Our advertising will start nationally in March in some regions. It will also start in Toronto and Ottawa to enable people to plan their trips more appropriately. And then in Montreal, it'll start a little bit later as it's a little bit closer. And then, of course, in Atlantic Canada, the advertising that we're going to do there will start in April and May. So tiering the campaign a little bit. The media by market. Nationally, we will have specialty television, so we'll see some of those examples of the specialty channels in a moment. In Toronto, we'll have television. Nationally, we'll have en route television, which will be television on the seat backs of the Air Canada flights. We'll have print and digital billboards out of home. In Ottawa, in Quebec, television, print, digital, and billboards. And then regionally, we'll have en route, of course, print and digital. In the United States, en route TV, print and digital, and then in the United Kingdom, print and digital as well. So some examples of some of the networks and locations where we'll be advertising. Some of the national channels, and then some of the specialty national channels. In the online sites, you can see sites as broad as BBC to lapresse.ca. And newspapers, we will be confining that to Ontario and Quebec. Our regional plan we're still finalizing, and as that's not going to be available to launch or not needed to be launched until well into April and into May. So we are focusing this launch event on the advertising that will be available more nationally. We will have a separate regional campaign that'll serve to promote staycations in Nova Scotia and, of course, encourage last-minute travel in the Maritimes. In the Mid-Atlantic and New England, through our partnership with the Atlantic Canada Tourism Partnership, we will advertise in print in the New York Times, in the Boston Globe, the Boston Herald, some of the online sites, some of the major online sites. In the United Kingdom, much of our advertising is already passed in the United Kingdom because, of course, due to the travel planning requirements, we wanted to get that in market much earlier. So we had an underground campaign in the 10 largest subway or tube stops You can see an example of a train racing in with a lovely picture of Lunenburg on the other side. Some magazine advertising with Jamie Oliver, and then Waitrose, which is a national chain. In Germany, we do primarily partnerships and working with travel agents, travel media. And we've recently done a promo with a chain called Globetrotter, which is like a mountain equipment co-op, an outdoor store. So, campaign summary. We have a new brand campaign, both in English and in French. We are increasing our media spend roughly 15% versus last year. We are in market earlier. So in market in March versus I think we were April and May last year, so that we can enable people to travel, plan their travel more appropriately and arrive in the market more easily. Increased investment in central Canada, and there is less regional focus. So we had announced this at Tyans. We're spending money in Quebec. We haven't advertised in the province of Quebec for 3 years, so we're reallocating some of our regional money to Quebec to get those first-time visitors, because we know that there's first-time visitors come, spend more money, spend an average of $1,700 per person or per party, stay an average of 6 days versus perhaps someone in the Maritimes who's going to spend an average of $700 per party. So we want to get those first-time visitors. We want to get them to come. We want them to stay longer. We're re-entering Quebec, and we're significantly increasing our presence in online, doubling our spend in the online space. Improving the look and feel of our website, launching the new application, which will be available next week in all of the stores, Apple, Android, and BlackBerry. And that's it. Thank you very much. Sorry, we're not finished yet. I did want to introduce Donna. Donna, there's Donna. I wanted to introduce Donna Hatt from White Point Beach Lodge, where I've been actually a couple of times in the last few months. A spectacular new White Point, risen from the ashes of the old White Point. So a great location. Donna, if I could turn it over to you.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I have to tell you, being a part of Team Nova Scotia has got to be one of the most amazing experiences for anyone. And while we may feel it alive here at home, and it was referenced earlier, to be out of province, to be out there shaping, inspiring, and enabling folks to realize what an amazing connection that they can have here back home for us in Nova Scotia is tremendous. At Scotiable, as was mentioned earlier, it was a new opportunity for us. We are out of province frequently. As White Point Beach Resort, as champions for this province, we are a journey along the way. White Point is not in Halifax. It's not along the Cabot Trail. It is a part of a meandering journey, and getting to us is a part of that journey. The opportunity that all of this campaign speaks to is the spirit of what happens to you when you're here. And I guess at Scotiable earlier, I guess it was just Friday evening, feels like it was a long time ago already, when we doubled our numbers over the previous year, when Nova Scotians came forward with their tartan scarves, with their passion, their enthusiasm, arming them as ambassadors to help spread the word. They too know and care about what's happening back here. They too know that in those out-of-province markets, we're able to attract more first-timers who stay much longer when they're here. I know that as a private operator at White Point. I know that's the same impact for all of our restaurants, for our gift shops. You only discover all of those, though, when you have time to linger, when you have a chance to reflect, detour, and enjoy the trip along the way. This campaign speaks to that. And increasingly, even at the trade show in Ottawa, as we were standing on the floor, there is brand recognition of us. And yes, we were trying to change it up a little bit. I've introduced the mini kilt in heels. So I'm giving Alain Bossé, our kilted chef, a run for his money. And I will tell you that folks were ignited about that. We are recognized by the kilt. We're recognized by how friendly we are. They know our anchors. I have been to Halifax. I was in Halifax because I came on a cruise ship. Great. When are you flying in next? When are you driving in next? Part of that journey is getting here. And yes, they will travel through other provinces, and that's part of the journey as well. As long as we're a part of that destination and increasing that length of stay. They are not affected by weather. They are not affected by, there's a lot of last-minute pieces, but they will come and they will linger longer, and they take back amazing memories. And when we engage them through that spirit of discovery that we all want to share them with, that's where it's going to come from. Our responsibility as private sector and as a community is to take the platform of Take Yourself There and the spirit of that entire journey and embrace it. It is up to us as ambassadors to continue to be aware of what is along that journey and to touch point that. It isn't about Highway 103 getting to White Point. It's about Route 3. It's about dipping in along the way. And that is that tour throughout. And whether we were talking about Lewisburg 300th, when we are outside of province, I am not White Point. I am Team Nova Scotia. It's about ensuring that people have a chance to sense who we are, to hear the ocean. As I was running around with a bag of adults going, take a whiff of home, at Scotiable, some would endeavor to take a taste of our seaweed, our sea lettuce. Others would go, oh, but give me another whiff, because it is a part of, and it brings back that memory. Our platform that we have, even the statement here, I saw this while we were in Ottawa, and it's about throwing stones. Spend an entire afternoon just throwing stones. That's the essence of time-starved, BlackBerry-empowered, and iPhone-triggered communities. Stop, look, listen, savor, feel, connect. And that will be something we can give to those who come from further afar that will last a legacy, and they will return. We see it time and again at White Point. We love our repeaters, but those first-timers who we can create an impact and become champions for what we have to offer will grow it all, not just for tourism, but the entire economy of Nova Scotia as they continue to millow around, linger longer, and spend more money. So thank you to the kids who have given us a chance to revisit it. The swinging was fabulous. It is the essence. That's the essence of who we are, whether we're roasting a marshmallow over an open fire or squishing it in a s'more or cracking open a mussel for the first time or trying Solomon Gundy or Daltz. That's the spirit that we'd like to empower on folks. We all have that opportunity, and it is an incredible pleasure to be a part of Team Nova Scotia, cracking it up a little bit, breaking out the mini kilt, and moving forward. So thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you as we continue to bring people here as they take themselves to the spirit of Nova Scotia. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Donna. I very much appreciate that. So thank you all very much for coming. I want to thank, of course, our special guests, Kim and Joshua and Rain. Really appreciate you being here and appreciate the fine work that you did to get us here today. So thank you all very much. Thank you all again for coming. If I could just a couple of housekeeping details. The minister will come over here and we'll allow some space for media. And I think that's it. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you all for viewing our campaign. Thank you.